Hello and welcome back. And welcome back to the May Madness. I'm going to try and take the opportunity over the next couple of days. We've got some dry days and I've got a lot to do. Right, and one of the first things I've got to do is I've got to plant my, well, these have got just a secondary, but I'm going to use them as a main crop, potato, which I'll come to in a bit, but then they're Dean. Then I've got to do all these tomatoes. I mean, they're really interesting the way they've worked out at the moment. So this is the, what's this one? Orange banana. So there's the first lot of tomato flowers, which just starting to set. And these here, don't know whether you can notice, that's the second lot there. And I can just see the start of the third lot. So this seems to be working. Let me just show you what we've got here. This is the cherry Chadwick. Now this one, there's the first set of flowers, and this is the second truss there. I can just see the third truss. See if it focuses in. The third truss just there. So again, like I say, this seems to be working well. I've not got much in the way of side shoots just yet, but again, I'll cover that when I start to plant these up, because that will happen. Right, what else I've got to do? Right, the next thing I've also got to do is I've got to sift through all these beans. These are beans and French beans, which I've done about a week ago, and I've got real good germination again. So what I need to do is go through them. I mean, that also includes the Greek Gigante, and I've checked, they've all germinated. But what I need to do is make a note for next year, because I need to do something slightly different just to make sure I don't have a disaster with them. That's also the same for the Khazar beans. Like I say, they've all germinated, so I'm really happy with those. So where I'm going to start? So I think I'm going to start off, what I've done is I've seen a lot of people with their slugs, and the stuff is getting attacked by slugs. Now we've had really wet spring. So what I'm going to do is show you what I'm doing, because it seems to be working really well. Right, so these are some of my brassicas to go out. I'm going to give them another couple of weeks just to make sure that they're ready for any slug attack. But these are my Chinese cabbages, so both in the same tub, and that's how they've been. The brassicas, which really are a nice tender gourmet meal for a slug, haven't been touched, touch wood. But these are the state of my Chinese cabbages. These are getting absolutely attacked already. I don't know what's eating them. I presume it is a slug. And it seems to be Chinese cabbages are the catnip for slugs. You know, slugs have got all these lovely tender brassicas, and they're not touching them. They're just going for these Chinese cabbages. And that's also the same for the lettuce bed. On the way up to do the potatoes, I'll show you the lettuce bed as well. It's still Instagram worthy, except for the Chinese cabbages. Let me just get that one in there. That's the state of the Chinese cabbages. And these are the lettuces right next door. And it's the same for all of the Chinese cabbages. Just getting attacked. But we've got all these pristine lettuces. So I'm really pleased with how this is working out. Right, let's get up to this potato bed. Right, so this is where the potatoes are going to go in. I know it's not a very deep bed, but they are secondaries, and that's something I'm going to come on to in a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to clear this all out, and any of the last of the flower heads, they're going to go on my butty for lunch. Because everything's just about coming to an end now. We've just got a little bit left of the flower heads on the rocket and the Mizuna. So I think it's time now just to clear this all out, and we'll make a start on the potatoes then. Right, there we go, 10 tubers. These are Nadine, and what I've done is I've just spaced them out the best I can. I know you're supposed to space them 2 foot apart in soil, but that's the actual width of the bed, so I'm just going to go with the best I can, and we'll see how we go. Right, so I've decided this, to grow potatoes in the bed, and this is going to be my first time growing potatoes in the bed. The last couple of years we've just been doing it in pots. We've done Charlotte, Vivaldi and Ratty. Now we know we like the Ratty and we know we'll grow that again. Vivaldi is a bit of hit and miss, and we know we like the Charlotte. But I also wanted to keep on changing the varieties that we have, so we don't always have the same one, and we're not trying others. Hopefully these Nadine are high yielding, which is what they're saying, high yielding, good disease resistance, and produces many tubers at the root. So hopefully this Nadine is good, and then we may change the Charlotte for next year. We may even change the Nadine, may see something else or get recommended something else. So I've been recommended Home Guard. So if I've got Charlotte as a second early and Home Guard, which is a first early, I may stop next year doing the Charlotte and try the Home Guard. If we keep on changing this instead of having always the same potatoes, then hopefully we'll come up with a nice, well, these are the ones that we like to grow. Right, so like on this says, many tubers at the root. Right, so a week ago I asked the question, because I didn't know the answer, is a Charlotte an indeterminate or determinate? And I got so much good feedback, and I started to use that feedback. There's plenty of different rules of first earlies, second earlies, they're determinates, and main crop is indeterminate, or first earlies, second earlies, one level, indeterminate up stem. I started to look into it even further, because what I want to do is, if it's just on one level, do I hill it up? And the answer, if I used that first earlies and second earlies is determinate on one level, then the answer is no. But I kept on doing the research. So I'm going to quote now from the Agriculture and Horticultural Development Board, which oversees, if that's correct, does oversee the potatoes in the UK. And this is direct quote from that, and it's also going to be linked below. But before you go, please carry on watching the video, have a look afterwards. Right, so this is a direct quote. Nitrogen recommends split potato varieties into 1 of 4 groups according to the degree of determinacy, a measure of the crop's capacity to maintain the leaf production after the first appearance of flowers. So that's actually the measure for determinacy, is how long will the stems continue living after it's flowered, if it does actually flower. And they've split them into 4 different groups. So if we keep on going down, there we go. So the 4 different groups are short stem longevity, and that's for determinate varieties. Group 2 is medium longevity, and that's for partially determinate varieties. And then group 3 is long stem longevity, and group 4 is sunshine on that bit too much, very long longevity after it's flowered. So there's a 3rd group there. You've got determinate, partially determinate varieties and indeterminate varieties. This is all long-winded, isn't it? Right, so and the reason why I kept on looking was Simple Seeds, who sell potatoes, they stated that not all first earlies are determinate. So here's a list of all the partial determinates, and again, this is really interesting for me. So therefore, the ones that I'm going to list is on them are some of those that have actually grown, and I do know them to be quite tall. And this is why I kept on looking, was because I wanted to know whether I needed to hill up. And it seems that I do need to have to hill up to support the stems, because they're not just determinate, which is a short bush variety. There's this partial determinate variety, which can be quite, you know, this is the list, and then you'll recognise some of them. So on that list is Atlantic, there's actually 34, Atlantic, Armada, Arcade, Carlingford, Charlotte, which again is one that I've grown, and I did know, that's what I asked the question was, because I know it does actually grow quite tall. Courage and Dunrod. Sorry, the sun's on the actual thing. Right, so the next part is Endeavour, Harmony, Juliet, Kestrel, Lady Claire, Lady Rosetta, Marfona, Mars Pier. Then the next ones are Melody, Miranda, Mozart, Nadine, which I'm going to be growing up there, Nectar, Nicola, Orchestra, Osprey, Pentland Javelin, Saxon, Sharon, Vivaldi, VR808 and Wilger. So this is really interesting to me, and do put your comments down below, and do have a look at the website, like I say, after viewing the video. I also use potato database, variety database, and that's got a huge list of all the potatoes from first early, second early, and then the main crop, and it also rates them for various different types of diseases. So both of those are going to be down below, like I say, after the end of the video if you can. So that now leaves me to think, right, well, I know that Charlotte is not a determinate and indeterminate now, it's actually a partial determinate, and so is Vivaldi. Now I've grown both of those, so I now know that they actually grow on the one level, which is first early and second early, but they also get quite tall. So I can't just put them 6 inches under the ground and hope that they won't fall over before they're rocking from the wind. I've got to protect them from the wind because this site is very windy, this garden is. So that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to hill up any that are on this list. So what I'm going to do, every potato I buy now, I'm going to look at the potato variety database, see whether it's first early, second early or main crop. If first early, second early, I know it's going to be on one level, but then I'm going to refer to this list to see whether it's a partial determinate. If it's a partial determinate, then I know it could get quite a tall stem. So then I do need to hill it up, not for protecting potatoes that are going up the stem, because there isn't any, it's all on one level, but just to give it more protection from the wind. So does that make sense? It's a very long answer. I didn't know that there actually is a third determinacy, the partial one. So somewhere along the line, somebody's gone blanketly, well, all first earlies and second earlies must be determinate. But there is a third category, and whether that category is all tall varieties, I've given you the list, you can have a look up yourself, whether they need hilling up, just protect them from the wind so there's not much rocking, I don't know. Oh, it's a long-winded it's a long-winded answer to whether a Charlotte is actual determinate or indeterminate. It's neither. Right, let me know what your comments are on that and what your thoughts are. Like I say, I had really great feedback, and the actual answer to that being a third group took me a little bit by surprise, so I thought I'd share it, because if I say it to Sarah, her response is, will we grow potatoes? Will they grow? Yes, great. Right, if you're still here, I'm on to the tomatoes next. Right, well, I'm not going to do them all in one go. I'm just going to do these two, and then you'll get the general idea what I'm going to do. Because in this sunshine, they're just going to get sunburnt. So these have been in the pots now since the 7th of May. It's now, I think it's the 9th, so it's been 3 months. And they are just starting to struggle a little bit. And what we'll do is we'll see what the roots look like. So they're both cherry Chadwick, and I'm only going to be growing one. So one's going to be a spare and given away. And you see this one has 1 truss, 2 truss, and there's a 3rd truss. What I'll do is do a bit of a close-up, but this one's actually set fruit. So that's really good. So what I'll do is bring you in closer, and you can see why I'm going to keep one and why I'm going to get rid of one. Right, so they're pretty well similar plants. There's not much difference at all. Both have got 3 sets of trusses on now, virtually. And the only reason I'm going to keep this one here is that the actual side shoots here are lower than these, and that is the only reason why I'm going to keep that one on the left. Literally is not much difference between them, and plus this one has possibly more roots going to be coming out here. He's got more nodules on it, so that's the only reason I'm keeping this one. Right, let's have a look at what the roots are. Right, before we get into the roots, this is what I'm expecting. You know, at the moment it's pretty straddly plant. I know once it's actually set into here, it's not going to look like a straddly plant. And what I'm hoping is these 2 side shoots, I know they're small at the moment, but as soon as it gets potted on, I'm hoping for a real big amount of growth. You know, this is 2 of my house dwarfs. That one's getting given away, and that one I'm keeping. Now the difference is just 3 weeks in getting potted on. That's just bushed out immensely. And it's starting to now catch up with these flowers on this. So that's what I'm expecting here, that hopefully these little side shoots down here really get a big spurt of growth. But I'm not too worried if they don't, because I can always use this side shoot as my second growing point, because really it's not going to be that higher than actually being in the tub. That's about it, what it's going to be like. Which is pretty good to have the first truss here, and at the moment, like I say, that's the 2nd truss. I don't know what the final distance is going to be, but we'll have to see how it turns out. But I'm really pleased with how they turned out, and the person who's going to get this is going to, you know, it's going to be a real nice plant. And they're going to, again, this one's just starting to set its fruit. So they're both going to be early plants. Right, let's have a look at these roots. Right, so I am going to pot on the one I'm going to give away as well. You know, it's a bit cruel to keep on it in this pot. So that's the state of the roots. It is pretty root bound now. So I'm just going to spread those out. Just tease them out a little bit. And I'm going to put that one on in here. And this is the one I'm going to keep. So let's have a look how these are. Again, pretty root bound that is. But it's got a good set of roots on it. Let me just show you. So there we go. Again, don't have roots out too much in the sunshine. And that's going to get it down there. Right, bring it back once I've finished that. Right, there you go. They've both been potted on. And I've gone down to the first side shoot. Let me just check. Yeah, I haven't got the I haven't got the cane in the way of the side shoot. So yeah, I'm quite pleased with how that's looking now. And we'll see how those side shoots go. As you can see, there's plenty going up the actual stem. So there's plenty I can actually use if I want to still do 2 side shoots. And the one that's getting given away, that's looking all right there. Again, I'm keeping that hold of that for another couple of weeks because the person who's having it hasn't got a greenhouse. So what I'll do is I'll just see how those side shoots grow, just in case that this becomes a better one to grow with the side shoots like that. Right, let's have a look at these beans. Right, so I've just gone into the shade. I don't want to damage the roots in the sunshine because some of them are just poking through now. So these are all the French dwarf beans, the Greek gigante, Khazar, and some of the giant mulch too. So all the French runner beans, the dwarf ones, they've pretty well germinated now. So what I'm going to do is slowly start to directly sow them into the beds as some of these spinches go over. And I have moved some, and they are sulking at the moment. That's just because I've moved to disturb the large taproots. So we'll see how we go with that. And it's not the end of the world with if I start losing some of these spinaches now. They've been really good, and I've learned for next winter how I'm going to actually sow them into these beds, how many and what the spacing is. So I've got enough space then to directly sow the French beans in at this time of year. And this is the actual mistake that I made. So again, these are French dwarf beans. And these are the Greek gigante, and as you can see, this one's still damp, but the Greek gigante is dry. So that's the mistake I made. I've only done these for a week. Now they have all germinated, but what I need to do now is re-soak the actual towel. I'm going to leave them then for another week, and they're going to get directly sown into the bed, which I've prepped there for the vertical climbing bed. It's the same with the Khazar, and also for what I'm going to do is the giant mulch 2 at each end, and that way I can just leave that bed then, because the Khazar and the gigante I'm just going to leave to dry, and I'm going to do the same for these mulch 2 at both ends, because these are just going to be saved for seed for next year, because they're really rare, and I get about 40 per packet, so hopefully I can save a lot more seeds and also to give some away to people. I mean, that's if they work well. I don't know whether they're going to work well or not, but they certainly are growing well at the moment down there on that wigwam. Right, well, it's got very hot now, so what I'm going to do is leave the video here. So like I always say, I hope you enjoy the video. I hope to see you again.